Imagine discovering that the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you want has never been your money, your education, your age, or your circumstances. Imagine realizing that it has been something you carried with you every single day without even noticing. What if success has been waiting for you all this time, but your own thoughts have been keeping the door closed? Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you may never look at your mind the same way again. Every great achievement begins long before anyone sees it. A strong building exists in the imagination of an architect before the first brick is laid. A beautiful song lives in the heart of a musician before a single note is played. Every successful business starts as a simple idea inside someone's mind. Nothing meaningful appears by accident. Everything is created twice, first in thought, then in reality. But here's the question most people never ask themselves. If thoughts are so powerful, why do so many people think positively from time to time and still struggle? Why do they dream about success, yet continue living the same life year after year? The answer is both simple and uncomfortable. Your life does not respond to what you wish for once in a while. It responds to what you repeatedly believe, consistently expect, and courageously act upon. Think about that for a moment. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to expect good opportunities wherever they go? They meet the right people. They notice possibilities that others ignore. They recover from setbacks faster. From the outside, it can look like luck. But if you watch closely, you'll notice something different. They move through life with the quiet confidence that something good is possible. That confidence changes how they speak, how they behave, and what actions they take every day. Now imagine another person. Every morning begins with worry. Every challenge feels like proof that life is unfair. Every opportunity is met with doubt. Even when a door opens, fear convinces them not to walk through it. Over time, their world becomes smaller, not because life refused them, but because their own expectations quietly shape their decisions. This is one of life's greatest mysteries. The mind is always searching for evidence to support what it already believes. If you believe you are capable of learning, you begin noticing lessons everywhere. If you believe you are destined to fail, every mistake becomes another reason to quit. The outside world often reflects the conversations taking place inside your own mind. That doesn't mean life is always fair. It doesn't mean every challenge disappears, because you think positively. Difficult moments are real. Disappointments are real. Loss is real. But your response to those moments often determines whether they become the end of your story or the beginning of a new chapter. Picture two people caught in the same storm. Both experience the same rain and the same wind. One spends all their energy complaining about the weather. The other starts looking for shelter, gathers supplies, and prepares for tomorrow. The storm is identical. The difference is found in their response. Success works much the same way. Many people spend years waiting for motivation to appear before they take action. They tell themselves they'll start after they feel confident. They'll chase their dream after fear disappears. They'll believe in themselves after someone else believes in them first. But confidence is rarely the starting point. Action creates confidence. Every small promise you keep to yourself becomes evidence that you are becoming someone stronger. Every difficult task you finish tells your mind that you can handle even greater challenges. Success grows through repetition far more than inspiration. Have you ever wondered why some habits feel impossible to break? Why negative thinking returns so easily, even after moments of optimism? It's because the mind loves familiarity. It doesn't always choose what is best. It often chooses what is most familiar. If worry has become familiar, the mind returns to worry. If gratitude becomes familiar, the mind begins searching for reasons to be grateful. If discipline becomes familiar, consistent action slowly feels natural. This means your future isn't shaped by one dramatic decision. It is shaped by thousands of small choices repeated over time. Think about planting a seed. Nobody plants a seed today and expects a tree tomorrow. They understand there is an invisible season before visible growth appears. The roots grow first. The transformation happens underground, where nobody can see it. Your personal growth follows the same pattern. The world celebrates visible success. It applauds the finished product. It notices the award, the business, the wealth, the confidence, or the achievement. What it rarely sees are the mornings filled with doubt, the evenings spent learning, the countless failures, and the quiet decisions to keep moving forward when nobody was watching. The invisible work always comes before the visible reward. This is where many dreams quietly disappear. People become impatient. They judge today's effort by tomorrow's results. They stop watering the seed because they cannot yet see the tree. Then they convince themselves that nothing is changing, but something is changing. Every thought you intentionally replace, every fear you choose to challenge, every action you take despite uncertainty, every day you refuse to quit. These moments are quietly building a future that has not yet become visible. Now let me ask you something. If someone followed your daily habits for the next 5 years, where would they end up? Would they become healthier? Would they become wiser? Would they become financially stronger? Would they become more confident? Or would they remain exactly where they are today? That question has the power to change everything, because it shifts your attention away from wishing and toward becoming. The law of attraction is often misunderstood, as if it were simply about wishing hard enough for life to change. But wishing without growth changes very little. Dreams without preparation remain dreams. Hope without action eventually turns into disappointment. Real transformation begins when your thoughts, emotions, decisions, and daily actions begin moving in the same direction. Imagine trying to row a boat with one oar moving forward, while the other pulls backward. You work hard, yet you go nowhere. Many people live this way every day. They say they want success, but secretly expect failure. They dream about abundance, but constantly focus on lack. They desire confidence, yet repeatedly tell themselves they are not enough. Mixed signals create mixed results. When your beliefs, your choices, and your actions finally align, momentum begins to build. Progress becomes easier. Opportunities become more visible because you are finally prepared to recognize them. And this leads to a powerful realization. The greatest opportunity you will ever attract is not money. It is not fame. It is not influence. The greatest opportunity you will ever attract is becoming a different person. Because once you become that person, the decisions you make change. The habits you build change. The people you surround yourself with change. The standards you accept change. And when those things change, your future begins changing with them. This is only the beginning, because there is one hidden force that silently controls whether your goals move closer or farther away every single day. Most people never notice it, even though it shapes nearly every result they experience. And once you understand it, you may never approach success the same way again. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the energy change? Nobody said a word, yet you could sense confidence, uncertainty, excitement, or tension. It makes you wonder, if emotions can be felt without being spoken, what kind of message are you sending to the world every single day? More importantly, what message are you sending to yourself? The truth is that every day you are broadcasting something through your attitude, your habits, your expectations, and your decisions. Long before people believe in you, you must begin believing in the direction you are moving. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It is about choosing a mindset that gives you the strength to keep going when life becomes difficult. Most people think success begins when they finally achieve a goal. But success actually begins much earlier. It begins the moment you decide that your future will no longer be controlled by your past. Think about that. Your past may explain where you are today, but it does not have the authority to decide where you will be tomorrow. Many people carry invisible labels. Maybe someone once told them they were not smart enough. Maybe they failed at something important. Maybe they experienced rejection, disappointment, or loss. Over time, those moments became part of their identity, instead of just part of their story. There is a huge difference. An experience is something that happened to you. An identity is something you believe you are. When you confuse the two, you limit your own future. Imagine a child learning to ride a bicycle. The child falls again and again. Imagine if after the first fall, the child said, "I fell, so I must not be meant to ride." That sounds unreasonable. Yet adults do something similar every day. One failed business becomes, "I'm not an entrepreneur." One rejection becomes, "I'm not good enough." One mistake becomes, "Success isn't for me." Those are not facts. They are conclusions, and conclusions can be changed. Here is something remarkable about the human mind. It believes what you repeat often enough. If every morning you remind yourself that nothing ever works out, eventually your brain starts searching for proof. But if every morning you remind yourself that every challenge contains a lesson, your brain begins looking for opportunities instead of excuses. What you consistently focus on grows stronger. This is why your attention is one of your greatest assets. Where is your attention right now? Is it focused on everything you don't have? Or is it focused on becoming the person capable of creating what you want? The difference may seem small, but over months and years it changes everything. Imagine carrying 2 backpacks every day. One is filled with fear, regret, jealousy, and self-doubt. The other is filled with gratitude, purpose, hope, and determination. Both backpacks are invisible. Both become heavier with time. Which one do you think will help you climb the mountain? Most people underestimate the power of gratitude because it sounds too simple. They think gratitude is only about saying thank you. But real gratitude changes your perspective. It trains your mind to notice resources instead of limitations. It reminds you that even while chasing something bigger, there is already something valuable in your life today. Gratitude does not make you settle. It makes you stronger. When your mind stops obsessing over what is missing, it gains the energy to build what is possible. Now let's talk about visualization. Many people misunderstand this idea. They believe visualization means sitting quietly and imagining wealth will magically appear. But real visualization is much more practical. Picture an athlete preparing for a championship. Before the competition begins, they mentally rehearse every movement. They imagine overcoming obstacles. They picture themselves remaining calm under pressure. When the real moment arrives, it feels familiar because their mind has already practiced success. Your goals deserve the same preparation. If you want to become confident, picture yourself speaking with confidence. If you want to become disciplined, imagine yourself choosing discipline, even when it feels uncomfortable. If you want financial success, imagine yourself making wise decisions instead of emotional ones. Visualization is not escaping reality. It is preparing yourself to face reality with greater confidence. But here is the part most people skip. After visualization must come action. Without action, imagination becomes entertainment. Without action, dreams remain stories you tell yourself. Without action, nothing changes. Ask yourself this question. What small action could you take today that your future self would thank you for? Not next year, not next month, today. Maybe it is reading 10 pages of a book instead of scrolling endlessly. Maybe it is making the phone call you have been avoiding. Maybe it is exercising for 20 minutes. Maybe it is saving a small amount of money instead of spending it impulsively. Small actions repeated consistently become extraordinary results. Success rarely arrives through one giant leap. It usually arrives through thousands of ordinary choices made with extraordinary consistency. Here is something else worth remembering. Your environment influences your expectations. Spend enough time around people who complain, and complaining begins to feel normal. Spend enough time around people who are committed to learning, growing, and improving, and suddenly your own standards begin to rise. Energy is contagious. So ask yourself honestly, who are you allowing to shape your thinking? Do the voices around you encourage possibility? Or do they constantly remind you why something cannot be done? You may not be able to choose every person you meet, but you can choose whose opinions become permanent residents in your mind. Guard your thoughts carefully, because every belief eventually becomes a decision. Every decision becomes a habit. Every habit becomes a lifestyle. And every lifestyle creates a destiny. There is another truth that many people don't want to hear. You cannot attract a life that your daily behavior keeps pushing away. If you say you want success but waste every opportunity to learn, your actions are speaking louder than your words. If you say you want peace but constantly feed your mind with negativity, you are creating conflict within yourself. If you say you want abundance but refuse to develop valuable skills, you are hoping for results without preparing for them. Life responds generously to preparation. Imagine a farmer. The farmer doesn't pray for a harvest while refusing to plant seeds. The farmer prepares the soil, plants carefully, waters consistently, removes weeds, and patiently waits. Success follows the same rhythm. Preparation, consistency, patience, growth, harvest. Remove one of those steps, and the process becomes incomplete. This is why discipline is one of the greatest expressions of belief. Every time you stay committed when nobody is watching, you are telling yourself that your future matters more than your temporary comfort. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence quietly grows. And confidence built through action is far stronger than confidence built through empty motivation. Now imagine waking up every morning, knowing exactly who you are becoming. Not because everything is perfect, not because every goal has been reached, but because your thoughts, your habits, and your actions are finally moving in the same direction. That kind of alignment creates momentum, and momentum changes lives. But there is still one invisible enemy that quietly destroys more dreams than failure ever could. It convinces people to stop just before the breakthrough. It whispers lies that sound like truth. It steals opportunities before they even have a chance to grow. Understanding that enemy may be the difference between living with endless potential and finally turning that potential into reality. Imagine standing just one step away from the opportunity that could completely change your life and turning around because of a single thought. It sounds unbelievable. Yet it happens every day. Not because people lack talent, not because they lack intelligence, but because they believe the voice of fear more than the possibility of success. Fear has a strange way of disguising itself. It rarely announces, "I am here to stop you." Instead, it whispers things that sound reasonable. Maybe tomorrow. You're not ready yet. What if people laugh at you? What if you fail? Slowly, those quiet whispers become loud enough to control your decisions. Here's the surprising part. Most limits are invisible until you challenge them. Think back to a time when you finally did something you had been afraid of. Maybe it was speaking in front of people, starting a new job, launching a business, moving to a new city. Before you took the first step, your mind created endless worst-case scenarios. But after you acted, you probably realized that reality was far less frightening than your imagination. That is how fear survives. It feeds on hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. The faster you act, the weaker it grows. This is one of the greatest secrets of personal growth. Courage does not remove fear. Courage simply decides that something else is more important. Ask yourself this question. What dream have you been postponing because you are waiting to feel completely ready? Now consider another question. What if that feeling never comes? Many people spend years preparing for a moment that requires them to simply begin. They buy another book, watch another video, wait for another sign. They confuse preparation with progress. Learning is valuable. Planning is necessary. But eventually there comes a moment when thinking must become doing. Imagine someone standing at the edge of a swimming pool, reading every book ever written about swimming. They understand every technique. They know every movement. But until they step into the water, knowledge remains powerless. Life works the same way. You cannot think your way into experience. You must act your way into it. This is where many people misunderstand the law of attraction. They believe attracting success means constantly thinking about success. But successful thinking without successful action creates frustration. Real transformation happens when your thoughts inspire your actions, and your actions reinforce your beliefs. Every action sends a message to your subconscious. When you avoid difficult conversations, your mind quietly learns that discomfort should be avoided. When you face difficult conversations with honesty and confidence, your mind learns that challenges can be overcome. Every choice is training your future self. Think about a sculptor creating a masterpiece. The sculptor doesn't reveal the final work with one strike of the hammer. Thousands of careful movements slowly reveal what was hidden inside the stone all along. Your character develops the same way. Each disciplined decision chips away at doubt. Each act of courage removes another layer of fear. Each day of consistency reveals more of the person you are capable of becoming. This process cannot be rushed. And that is exactly why so many people quit. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, instant messages, instant entertainment, instant delivery. So naturally, people begin expecting instant success. But lasting success follows a different schedule. It asks for patience. It asks for commitment. It asks you to keep moving even when there is no applause. Imagine planting a bamboo seed. For years, almost nothing appears above the ground. Someone looking from the outside might believe nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, an enormous root system is developing. Then, when the time is right, the bamboo grows at an astonishing speed. Most people only notice the rapid growth. They never see the years of invisible preparation. Your life often works the same way. Every lesson learned, every habit strengthened, every obstacle overcome. Every morning, you choose discipline over excuses. These moments are building roots. And without strong roots, great success cannot survive. Now let's talk about something even more dangerous than fear. Self-doubt. Fear says, this might not work. Self-doubt says, maybe I am not the kind of person who deserves success. That belief quietly changes everything, because people rarely outperform the image they have of themselves. If you believe deep down that you are capable, you begin accepting greater responsibility. If you believe you are unworthy, you unknowingly reject opportunities that could transform your future. This is why your self-image matters so much. Not because positive thinking magically changes reality, but because your identity influences your behavior. Behavior shapes your habits. Habits create your future. So if you want a different future, begin by asking a different question. Instead of asking, how can I become successful? Ask, who do I need to become? That question changes everything. Because success is rarely something you chase. It is something you gradually become prepared to receive. Imagine receiving the keys to a powerful sports car before you have ever learned to drive. It would feel exciting for a moment, but without the necessary skills, that gift could quickly become dangerous. Life often protects us by requiring growth before greater responsibility. The person who develops wisdom can handle greater success. The person who develops discipline can manage greater freedom. The person who develops character can sustain greater influence. This is why your personal development is never wasted. Even when no one notices. Even when progress feels slow. Even when results seem invisible. You are becoming stronger than yesterday. There is another trap that quietly steals dreams. Comparison. It is easy to look at someone else's success and believe they reach the destination effortlessly. But what you usually see is the highlight, not the hardship, not the rejection, not the lonely mornings, not the sacrifices. Every meaningful achievement has a story that most people never hear. So stop measuring your beginning against someone else's middle. Stay focused on your own path. Growth is not a competition. It is a commitment. The only person you need to become better than is the person you were yesterday. As long as you continue improving, you are already winning a battle that many people never even begin. Now imagine living one full year with complete consistency. Imagine reading every day, learning every day, taking action every day, keeping promises to yourself every day, encouraging yourself instead of criticizing yourself, refusing to quit every day. Would your life look different? Of course it would. Not because of one extraordinary decision, but because ordinary actions repeated consistently create extraordinary outcomes. This is the quiet power that changes lives. It is not dramatic. It is not flashy, but it is unstoppable. And yet, even after understanding all of this, there remains one final piece that brings everything together. It is the missing connection between your thoughts, your actions, your identity, and the success you seek. Most people spend their entire lives searching for it without ever realizing it has been within their control all along. That final realization has the power to transform not only what you achieve, but who you become. What if the life you have been searching for is not waiting somewhere in the future? What if it has been quietly forming every single day through the choices you make, the habits you repeat, and the thoughts you refuse to let go of? That idea changes everything, because it places the power back where it has always belonged, within your own decisions. Many people spend years asking, when will my opportunity come? It sounds like a reasonable question, but there is an even better one. Will I be ready when my opportunity arrives? Those two questions may seem similar, yet they lead to completely different lives. Imagine an opportunity knocking on your door tomorrow. Would your skills be ready? Would your attitude be ready? Would your discipline be ready? Would your character be ready? Success often arrives quietly, without warning. It does not always announce itself. Sometimes it appears as a conversation, a new friendship, a challenge, a difficult decision, or a chance that most people overlook because they are too busy waiting for something bigger. This is why preparation is one of the greatest forms of confidence. When you prepare consistently, you stop fearing the future because you know you are becoming stronger every single day. There is a simple truth that successful people understand. Your future is hidden inside your daily routine, not in your wishes, not in your intentions, not even in your goals alone. It lives inside what you repeatedly do. Look closely at any remarkable achievement, and you will almost always discover ordinary habits behind it. Quiet mornings spent learning, consistent effort when nobody was watching, small improvements made day after day. They may not look exciting in the moment, but over time they create extraordinary results. People often search for one magical breakthrough, while ignoring the quiet power of consistency. Think about water flowing over stone. One drop changes nothing. 1,000 drops seem insignificant, but millions of drops, repeated over time, can carve through solid rock. Consistency possesses that kind of quiet strength. It rarely impresses people today, but it amazes everyone tomorrow. Now imagine waking up every morning with complete clarity. You know exactly what kind of person you are becoming. You choose gratitude before worry, learning before complaining, discipline before comfort, action before excuses. Little by little, your identity begins to change. And when your identity changes, your choices naturally follow. This is the point where many people finally begin to understand the deeper meaning behind attracting success. Success is not only attracted by desire, it is attracted by alignment. When your thoughts believe, when your emotions support, when your habits reinforce, and when your actions prove your commitment, everything begins moving in the same direction. That is when momentum begins to build. Momentum is a remarkable force. At first, it feels almost invisible. Progress seems slow. Results appear small. People around you may not even notice that anything is changing. But then something incredible happens. The habits become easier. Your confidence becomes stronger. Your decisions become wiser. Your opportunities become greater. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you became stronger. Remember this. Life rarely rewards who you hope to become. It rewards who you consistently choose to be. That is why every morning matters. Every conversation matters. Every decision matters. Because every moment is either moving you closer to your vision or quietly pulling you away from it. There will be days when motivation disappears. Those days will test everything. They will ask one simple question. Will you continue without feeling inspired? Anyone can work when excitement is high. Anyone can dream when everything is going well. But true transformation happens on ordinary days. The days when nobody is applauding. The days when progress feels invisible. The days when quitting seems easier than continuing. Those are the days that shape extraordinary lives. Imagine climbing a mountain. When you first begin, the summit feels impossibly far away. Halfway up, your legs become tired. The weather changes. You begin wondering whether the climb is worth it. But every single step places you higher than the last. If you stop to look back, you realize you have already traveled farther than you ever imagined. Life is exactly like that. Celebrate your progress. Do not underestimate small victories. Every page you read, every healthy decision, every hour spent learning, every promise you keep to yourself. These moments are creating a version of you that yesterday did not exist. Never believe that small improvements are insignificant. Small improvements become massive transformations when time joins your efforts. Now let us talk about one final habit that separates dreamers from achievers. Responsibility. It is easy to blame circumstances. It is easy to blame luck. It is easy to blame other people. But the moment you accept responsibility for your choices, your mindset, and your actions, something extraordinary happens. You stop waiting for change. You become the source of it. That realization is incredibly freeing, because if your choices help create your present, your choices can also help create your future. No matter where you begin, no matter how many mistakes you have made, no matter how many times life has knocked you down, your next decision still belongs to you. And sometimes one decision changes everything. One decision to stop making excuses. One decision to keep learning. One decision to forgive yourself. One decision to begin today instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Never underestimate the power of one committed decision followed by consistent action. Years from now, people may look at your success and call you lucky. They will see the harvest. They will not see the seasons of preparation. They will admire your confidence. They will not remember your doubts. They will celebrate your victories. They will never fully understand the discipline that created them. And that is perfectly fine, because the greatest reward was never proving yourself to others. The greatest reward was discovering what you were capable of becoming. That is the true secret. The law of attraction is not about sitting still and hoping life changes. It is about becoming the kind of person who recognizes opportunities, embraces growth, takes meaningful action, and refuses to surrender when challenges appear. Your thoughts set the direction. Your beliefs shape your expectations. Your decisions determine your habits. Your habits build your character, and your character creates your destiny. Everything begins with one simple choice. The choice to believe that your future does not have to look like your past. The choice to think differently, to act differently, to live differently. Because the moment you change what is happening within you, you begin changing what is possible around you. So as you finish listening today, ask yourself one final question. If the person you become over the next year is shaped by the choices you make starting today, what choice will you make right now? Your future is listening, and it begins with the next step you take.